capital of China, Shanghai ranks #1 for fun. Lots to do. Hi everybody, I'm Vicki Liviakis in Shanghai. Come with me because we're going to have a little fun of our own.
In this episode, from a bustling bazaar to a tranquil traditional garden in a few steps. Then the historic Bund by land and by boat. Plus a temple in the city center which houses a jade Buddha, hand-carried by a monk from Burma to Shanghai. Finally, a master tailor makes my dream for a fine traditional qipao dress a reality. All that and more coming up on Shanghai 2010. Many have said that the Uun Garden and Bazaar in Shanghai's Old Town is a must-see.
The Uun Garden, which we're in now, has been on the tourist itineraries since they were invented, and it's a must-see area in Shanghai, a beautiful tranquil garden which goes back to the 17th century, surrounded by a hectic, buzzing bazaar area at any time of day or night.
It's like taking a step back in time. Architecture from centuries ago, tile roofs pointing up to the sky, red and gold lamps, a busy marketplace. Then reminders that you're in the 21st century. The city's glass skyscrapers, Starbucks, plastic trinkets and toys, kitschy gifts to bring back home. The name Bazaar fits. Some of these things are truly bizarre. It's a non-stop flow of visitors, and you can just get swept up in it. Snacks to keep you going. This is the most famous, Shoulong Bao, handmade dumplings filled with pork. So popular, people are willing to stand in line for more than an hour.
Call me tacky, but hey, they say you've got to do it. This is the Shanghai Bazaar, teeming with people and tourist merchandise. But when you had just a little too much of the crowds and the noise, a little bit of peace and serenity is just right around the corner.
The Uun Garden was built in the mid-16th century, the Ming Dynasty, as the private garden of a province official. Now we can get in for a price. Ransacked by Shanghai's various wars and rebellions, we're lucky the garden is still here to be enjoyed today.
It's small, really, but just about everywhere you look, there is some element of a classic Chinese garden, from the pavilions to the koi ponds to this meandering path here. It's been restored over the past several centuries, but I think the most important part is how it restores your soul.
And for $8, 1,000 people a day are doing just that. Take your time. At least for a few moments, the world stops. But a reality check, it closes promptly at 5. The Bund, Shanghai's most famous district, where British, American, Russian, and other international settlers staked their commercial and social claim in China in the 1800s. It's a charming, relaxing promenade along the western embankment of the Huangpu River, normally. But lately, construction has blocked access to the waterfront walkway, and much of the area is getting a major facelift.
You wouldn't know it by looking at it, but beneath the scaffolding and the dust is the Peace Hotel, once considered the most luxurious hotel in all of the Far East. It's being renovated, but you also better believe it's being fast-tracked for the World Expo. Right now, I'm standing in front of the famous Astor House Hotel. Back in the day, this was really the heart of old Shanghai, and it's, I guess you could say, the head of the Bund. How do I know all this? Well, it's because I am here with Peter Hibbard. Peter, historian, author, tour guide. How is it that you know Shanghai so well?
Well, I first turned up here in '86 and I decided I want to know a lot more, and so, I learned a lot more over the years. And
what he learned, he put in his books, like The Bund, Shanghai, China Faces West. With his background in urban planning and sociology, he explains to visitors and locals about settlements and concessions throughout history. We head to the 130-room Astor House Hotel, opened in the mid-1800s and still maintaining elements of Britain, like these attendants in kilts.
And we're now walking through the lobby where most Americans turning up in Shanghai in the 1920s would have walked through to get to the ballroom, which was created in 1923 and hosted amazing jazz in the mid-20s. This was really where China learned to dance.
The Bund stretches 1 mile along the Huangpu River, so we decide that a 1-hour boat trip circling the river will give us a great perspective on the Bund area and the Pudong district across from it.
The number of high-rises going up here is just phenomenal. I mean, you know, there's well over 6,000 over 20 stories high, you know, which is much more than in Manhattan or any other major city across the world. And it's not just, there's so many, they're built so quickly. You know, you can add a floor onto one of these constructions in a week.
Peter, this sounds elementary, but what does Shanghai mean?
Well, you know, basically Shang is on or above, and Hai, it means sea. So on the sea, at the sea.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And then Bund.
Well, you know, Bund, a lot of people think it's a German word, and in fact it's not. It goes back to the British coming out of India, and it's an Anglo-Hindustani word. Originally it was called Band, which means an embankment or causeway.
Okay, this is we're on the Embarcadero.
Because the
right?
Bund,
The
yeah,
Bund
right, yeah. I mean, the Bund, you know, in the 1840s when the British arrived, it was nothing more than a muddy beach, basically. And they built it up, and they bunded it, and built lovely lawns along the waterfront. And, you know, that's how the Bund came into being.
We are now approaching the proverbial bend in the river. And when you think about it, that's really a metaphor for Shanghai. Old on one side, new on the other.
In 1990, the Chinese declared the Pudong district a special economic zone. The most recognizable icon of Shanghai since 1995 has been the Oriental Pearl Tower.
Now we're coming into what was the original British or English settlement, and this is the Bund.
You know, I imagine the people who came here for the first time, as you said, were maybe disappointed, but also amazed. You'd think you were in Paris or
Absolutely.
London.
They were more than amazed, they were stunned. They couldn't believe the showiness of these buildings. They thought the banks here, many of them in their minds resembled Monte Carlo casinos, you know, or grand hotels. They were just places to do business. Again, Shanghai is all about being showy, and it's so important. So this is what the Bund really represented. Of course, the commercial might of largely British, but some American and other nationalities who set up their finance and commercial trading houses on the Bund to show off, to show their importance.
The buildings along the waterfront are officially on the Zhongshan Road, but their addresses are often known by their number on the Bund.
And next door is one of the two major buildings at the moment, the former Chartered Bank, which is now a very high-end retail and restaurant venue. Now we've got two dominant buildings coming up now. One is the old customs house with the clock tower, which was called Big Ching. Its clock was called Big Ching, and it used to play the chimes of Big Ben, but not anymore. It plays The East is Red. And next door, the most wonderful building in Asia of its sort, the former premises of the Hong Kong and Shanghai Banking Corporation, HSBC.
Quite grand.
Which is just unbelievable. It's a temple of finance in a true sense.
This building with a lovely cupola on the roof, this was bought by a Singaporean family. It's the only building to be owned on the Bund. The others are leased, and it was converted into 3 on the Bund in 2003.
And next door is the inimitable Shanghai Club, the bastion of Britishness in old Shanghai. No Chinese or women admitted, of course, the famous long bar there. It's now been converted into the Waldorf Astoria Hotel.
By boat, by car, by foot. While we look forward to the World Expo, we can also look back and relive the past along the Bund.